ShotokuTech, Saturday Story Time. These are the stories that you might have missed while you were caught up in other stories. Welcome back to ShotokuTech, Saturday Story Time, 12 September 2020 edition. So Lebanon is seeing a sea turtle boom. Yes, we know there was a tremendous explosion in Beirut that devastated the city's port. And in general, Lebanon's suffering from economic collapse. But conservationists are finding there's a record number of endangered green sea turtles have come to nest on the country's shores. And loggerhead turtles have also turned out in large numbers. Volunteers have spent decades protecting these remaining spots along the beach that haven't been taken over by factories and beach clubs. Al Mansouri Beach is one of Lebanon's most important breeding grounds for the turtles. And every nesting season, these volunteers watch over them, protecting them from other animals and from humans. And then they help the hatchlings on their journey back to the sea. These dedicated conservationists have even been threatened. I've been shot at, they've tried to burn my house. They've done so many things just because I've managed to stop this. And here you see the volunteers watching the hatchlings make their way back to the sea. The moon may be getting rusty, and it's likely the Earth's fault. We know rust is a combination of iron, water, and oxygen. Even Mars gets its nickname, the Red Planet, from this combination. But not all celestial environments are optimal for rust, especially the moon. It has no atmosphere. It's a terrible place for rust to form. While they're examining the data from this moon mineralogy mapper, they look at the poles and they find iron-rich rocks, hematite, and it's a specific type of iron oxide or rust. We know there's water on the moon trapped in craters on the moon's poles, but where's the oxygen coming from? You need this oxidizer. And the sun's solar wind actually prevents oxidation because it provides hydrogen, which prevents rust. Well, the moon, we know, doesn't have its own atmosphere, but perhaps oxygen from the Earth's atmosphere is trailing along in this elongated extension of the Earth's magnetic field called the magnetotail. And the Earth's magnetotail can reach all the way to the near side of the moon. During a full moon, the magnetotail blocks 99% of the solar wind, drawing a temporary curtain over the lunar surface, allowing time for rust to form. The moon is mostly devoid of water, so where is that coming from? There's frozen water found in lunar craters on the moon's far side, far from where most of the hematite was found. But researchers are saying fast-moving dust particles that bombard the moon might free water molecules locked in the moon's surface layer, allowing the water to mix with the iron. And some of these particles may even be carrying water molecules themselves. This reshapes our knowledge about the moon's polar regions and the Earth's role in the evolution of the moon's surface. So in response to the difficult year 2020 has been so far, Scott Thompson, manager of Thompson's Strawberry Farm in Bristol, Wisconsin, has planted 2 million sunflowers. His 22 acres of fields are covered in more than 2 million sunflowers. What a way to make people happy. It's hard not to be in a good mood when you see them. They're so big and bright, and I love the way they follow the sun. They've got 10 different fields going with grass all around them, big lanes in between, so that there's plenty of room for social distancing. And they've staggered out the planting of the flowers to make the season last even longer. This could last well into September. They're charging $25 admission per vehicle, and you can spend all day and you get to take a dozen sunflowers with you when you're done. Stanford researchers have taken a 3,200 megapixel photo. This is the world's largest digital camera, and it's going to be installed at the Legacy Survey of Space and Time telescope in Chile when it's completed, and it will study dark energy and dark matter and create the largest astronomical movie of all time. The photos are so big you would need 378 4K ultra high definition TV screens just to display one of these photographs in its full size. You can see really dim objects that other cameras can't capture, and the resolution is so high you can see a golf ball from 15 miles away. The sensors can spot objects 100 million times dimmer than is visible to the naked eye. They take 189 of these sensors, known as CCDs, that each measure 16 megapixels, and they're assembled into units called rafts. This camera is made up of 21 of these rafts, each worth $3 million, and it's taken over 6 nerve-wracking months to insert these rafts into the grid for the focal plane of the camera. So they've passed their first test, and a lot of the high-stake phases of the project are behind them. They still have some challenging work to do to finish the rest of the camera, and the final testing will happen in mid-2021. Recently, these mighty mice made a round trip to the International Space Station and spent about a month to help research muscle and bone loss that astronauts might experience in extended stays in space. These genetically enhanced mighty mice were part of this experiment, and it's blocking molecular signaling pathways that prevent muscle and bone density loss in the absence of gravity. And you can see the difference here in these photographs. This research could develop therapies that will help astronauts mitigate bone and muscle loss. And these could also be used for people on Earth that suffer conditions such as muscular dystrophy, osteoporosis, cancer, heart disease, sepsis, and AIDS. 40 mice were flown to the International Space Station in December, and they returned on the SpaceX Dragon capsule on January 7th. They say the SpaceX cargo vehicles are unique in that they can bring new materials and experiments to space and return 30 days later. This means the samples can be returned to the ground in a timely manner. They were studying these molecular pathways that both myostatin and activin take, and they found that blocking these pathways inhibits bone and muscle loss. And they compared the mice who flew on the space station compared to a control group of mice that stayed on Earth. They found the treated mice maintained and even increased their muscle and bone mass compared to the untreated mice. And the untreated mice experienced significant muscle and bone loss. They see that blocking the activity of these hormones does work to enhance both muscle and bone, even when the mice are unable to bear weight. Researchers were surprised at how resilient the mice are after being subjected to all the stresses associated with space travel. And it was remarkable how quickly they resumed their normal activity after returning to Earth. A lot of Egypt's cultural heritage has suffered damage over the years due to looting and unauthorized excavations. But archaeologists in Egypt have made a stunning find of sealed 2,500-year-old human coffins in a well. They found more than 13 human coffins, which appear to have been sealed for over 2,500 years. It's an indescribable feeling when you witness a new archaeological discovery. The ministry intends to release a series of promotional films with new details about the burial site. They're going to work to uncover more artifacts and also try to identify the people inside the coffins and their positions within ancient Egyptian society. I don't know how hard they were actually looking, but apparently astronomers found no sign of alien tech after scanning over 10 million stars. So we're going to have to wait longer for the announcement that we've discovered alien life. Here, we're using this Murchison Wide Field Array, which is a collection of 4,000 antennas in Western Australia that detect radio signals from space. They're little spider-like antennas that sit on the ground. So this search for extraterrestrial life piggybacks on other work studying this region to understand the life cycle of stars. This particular region of space that they're examining has a large number of stars that have exploded and died, creating ideal conditions for new stars to form. They were looking for technosignatures, evidence of alien technology. How would you know the difference between regular star noise and alien civilization tech noise? And they figured that they're looking for some sort of purpose-built signal, a repeating signal in these radio transmissions. They watched this area for 17 hours and no unknown signals were detected. They captured over 10.3 million stellar sources, and this contains 6 known exoplanets. We'll have to keep looking. These physicists have scored this $3 million physics breakthrough prize, and they've done it by studying gravity. Precision fundamental measurements that test our understanding of gravity, probe the nature of dark energy, and establish the limits on coupling to dark matter. They've built sensitive equipment to measure gravity, the weakest of nature's 4 fundamental forces, at incredibly short distances. This work has helped shape the physicists' big picture understanding of the universe. We talk about Isaac Newton's inverse square law that says the gravitational force between 2 objects is proportional to the square of the distance between them. If the distance between 2 objects is doubled, the gravitational attraction decreases by a factor of 4. So far, this law has survived every test to date. But physicists have been trying to probe this law at smaller and smaller scales because if they could get the law to break, then it might reveal new physics or extra dimensions predicted by the string theory. Measurements by this team have shown that the inverse square law holds even for objects separated by a mere 52 microns, establishing that this extra dimension must be curled up in a radius less than 1/3 the diameter of human hair. This is why they've received this breakthrough prize of $3 million. Looking forward to more revelation about dark energy and dark matter. Congratulations. This 62-year-old python has laid 7 eggs without the help of a male python. What's also unique about this is most pythons stop laying eggs long before they reach their 60s. She's definitely the oldest snake we know in history to lay eggs. So the eggs were laid on July 23rd. 3 of the eggs are in an incubator, 2 were used for genetic sampling, and the other 2 eggs did not survive. This genetic sampling is going to show whether the eggs were produced sexually or asexually. The only other ball python in the zoo is a male that's about 31 years old. The snakes aren't on public view. This snake has been at the zoo since 1961. In 1990, she laid a clutch of eggs that were conceived with a male because at the time the snakes were put in buckets together while the keepers cleaned their cages. She's since laid a clutch of eggs in 2009 that didn't survive. Thank you for watching ShotokuTech Saturday Storytime, and look for the link in the description down below to this Blogspot article with all the URLs to the stories we just talked about. Thank you, and have a great week. Thank you for watching ShotokuTech. Please subscribe, comment, like, and share.